Maryna Stoyko is a professional boxer, 5-time champion of Ukraine, finalist of the European Championship and champion of an international tournament in Latvia. Since the beginning of the war, she has also been the founder of a boxing club for women in Prague.
Maryna, hi. Listen, you look really cool.
Thank you.
Finally we met. I'm very glad to see you. You are training, competing, completing all the time. But today, I managed to make an agreement with your coach, so we could have a friend-to-a-friend conversation as a champion with a champion. So I have a really nice proposal. Let's run away from here right now, because I got an impression that you live here.
Champion's Way.
Why boxing? Why? It breaks all the canons.
We were cleaning kitchens, even toilets, did whatever we had to do. Everywhere we could make some money. We did everything. I had to survive. And it was cool to be a boxing sportsmaster from Ukraine in Prague, washing the kitchens somewhere in bar of Prague, and my falls provided me even more of a boost than my victories.
I'm curious, Maryna, you're now such a bright and successful person. Have you the same while being a child?
I was not like that. And in fact, my childhood was not that sweet. And I was not born with a golden spoon in my mouth. We lived 4 people in a small room of dormitory, and it was almost as person was sleeping on another person.
So there were you, your sister, your father, and your mother, correct?
My family was almost dysfunctional. My father was an alcohol addict, and so was my mother. While they were young, they were having fun, hanging out. There were no conversations in terms of teaching us some lessons from parents. We had nothing of that kind. I remember my mom would sometimes bring my dad home in such a state that he just couldn't say a thing, nor undress or go to a shower. He would just come home, fall on the floor, and would stay there. And there were times we had nothing to eat.
Did you have times when you were really hungry?
I don't know how to call it, but I remember my dad having a problem when I came home from school and said, "Dad, what we're going to eat today?" And I remember he pawned some tools and other things, and a lot of my mom's jewelry. And this first thing he would get was to drink 100 grams, and with the rest of the money he would bring some potatoes, so we fried it and ate. There were times we didn't know how we would pay for the rent. There were times I had to bring some money to school to buy something, to get new curtains or something like that. I would come to them and say, "Mom, Dad, I need money for this or that." But from the looks of their eyes, I would see they had no money and it was very hard.
Tell me more about these difficult times of your childhood. How did you feel about yourself, or did you compare yourself to other children at school? Did you want them with your fist?
Well, the childhood is the most painful topic, and when coming to school, I had some days that I remember once the soles of my shoes got detached. I knew I needed new slippers, but my parents had no money to buy new ones, so my mom kept constantly gluing them with super glue. I thought, "Mom, it's fine, I can still wear them." But there were moments they would come loose at school and I had to shuffle, because if I was walking normally, it was obvious they get loose. But when I was walking and shuffling, it was not so visible, but I must be looking so funny. And at those moments, I would be walking around the school as if something happened to my leg, but I was walking that way just the kids wouldn't see that they're torn. I don't know how to say.
Did it make you feel uncomfortable, or was it something?
Yes, it was very uncomfortable because I didn't go to a regular school, but it was more like a lyceum, and most of my classmates were from wealthy families, that is middle and upper middle class, and I realized I was even nowhere near the middle class. So in this respect, at school I was always a kind of cheerful child, and I wanted to be friends with everyone, and there were moments when I would understand that children first look at your appearance and then consider about becoming your friends or not.
Tell me, have you been resentful of your parents for such a childhood?
You know, Nastya, I should not be offended. Well, sometimes there were few times when I felt offended because I realized that my parents did not know how to properly manage their finances, and instead of getting new shoes for their child, they could drink them away or to have fun using them. And there were moments when I saw my dad coming, and I don't know, at that period when I saw these pictures, I was already close to God, and there were moments when I would take a bowl, a basin of water, take off his dirty, smelling slippers and socks and would wash his feet. And there were moments I felt very sorry for him because I realized that in his mind he was not just going because he wanted to. I think it was simply because he was trying to drown out problems he couldn't solve, especially financial ones, and he was drinking just to forget about these problems for at least a few hours.
You emphasized you were close or were becoming close to God. Tell us, in what way? How?
You know, I think every Ukrainian, everyone is close to God, whether they are Orthodox, Protestant, Catholic. Everyone knows He exists. But my mom and dad, we always went to church once a year to celebrate Easter. It was kind of family tradition as for many. But there was a period of time when we became very close to the church and we started going there every Sunday. All of that was started with my sister. At first, she met a coach, my future coach. He was not like all the others. He was different from all the coaches because, well, you know, when you come to the gym, most of boxing coaches, they are bald with a big belly.
Often rude ones.
Yes, and they like to drink, to swear. You know, to swear is okay for them because this sport is aggressive, very emotional, and it's normal for such words in the vocabulary. But he never did it. When my sister started training, they had trainings Monday through Saturday. When Yulia asked the coach why we don't train on Sunday because it's also a day off and we could do at least one workout, the coach replied, no, we won't, because it's a holy day and they go to church. It was very strange because our family tradition was to go to church once a year. How that is to go to church every Sunday? It's weird. Yeah, what kind of tradition that is? What do you do there? What for? Are you so sinful that you have to go there so often? Yes, regularly. And this was so strange for me. But you know, I saw that even inside of him was so different from all other people. I could see kind of hearts of love that his eyes were filled with. And the way he treated people, the way he showed respect in every conversation. And he never looked at people superficially. I'm a sincere person myself, and I love the simplicity in people. And the training sessions we had were very interesting. The coach was training us not only physically, but spiritually too.
I understand you in this very well, because I'm not only a professional athlete, but a Christian also. And now I would like to tell the audience a little bit about myself. I am Anastasia Klipachenko, a player of the Ukrainian national women's team, international master of sports and vice champion of Europe. My career path is 20 years long. During these 20 years of my sports career in the women's national team, I had the opportunity, besides training and playing, to coach such children's clubs as 𝗧𝗕𝗡 Academy and Paris Saint-Germain also. I am also a co-founder of the Champions Way women's sports movement, where we support women and girls daily, regardless of the sport they choose. Our willpower is tempered by the desire to be as strong and successful as men, to believe in yourself, to find answers to difficult questions, not to quit when such desire comes. It is only a small part of the psychological support we provide to our athletes. We also tell them about God, because any coach is a teacher only in a certain sport. But God is a mentor in the most difficult competition that is called life. By the way, today we would like to introduce you yet another co-founder of our Champions Way women's movement. But that will be a bit later. Maryna, look, when people ask me why football, it's already tried because many girls play it. But why boxing? Why? This breaks all canons.
The goal of my first training session was simply to lose some weight, because boxing is a very intense sport where you sweat a lot. You can lose at least 1 kilogram during one workout. At that time, I realized my parents didn't have the funds to send me to the classes I wanted to go to, because for most of them the payment was required, so the boxing was the only free option for me. At first my sister went there, and then when I came, I was asking the trainer if I could train for free, because my parents did not have the money to pay for my training. Although it was only 400 hryvnias a month, it still was too much for us. That's why I was looking for free options to lose some weight.
What was your first victory? Or how did you start getting to some sparrings?
After the first 2 weeks of boxing training, my coach invited me to visit the Transit Ukraine. And to be honest, I agreed because I could miss school for a whole week. That was the first reason. And the second reason was to be able to go to another city for free. I mean, I was shocked to go to class. I will see Ivano-Frankivsk. I was so euphoric.
And they feed you and take care of you and to make new friends. It's always a cool competition.
So I agreed. I have to tell you that after just 2 weeks in this sport, I became the third in Ukraine. So the coach told me, Maryna, you have a great talent. And I saw in the eyes of my coach that he saw a great person in me, believed in me, and kept telling me, Maryna, you can do more. And you know, Nastya, thanks to this person, I started believing in myself, that I can do something. During that period, I started training and realized I was training 6 hours a day.
6 hours?
Yes. I had 3 training sessions a day, and my morning would start around 6 o'clock. I would run to the first training session. When it would end 2 hours later, I would run to school for the second and third lesson, and after that I would go to the second training session, and then I would go home for some rest, and then would go to the third training session during the evening. I saw my peers, my classmates hanging out, and you know, sometimes I wanted to spend my time like them, to go out somewhere to relax.
After boxing?
Yes, after boxing. When you go up on the podium, people see only a picture. They see only 5 seconds of you standing there and how good you are. But no one sees the difficulties you had on this way. How hard it was for you to came for training, and those times when you didn't want to do training. I don't know, I was just asking God to provide me some strength. I shed a lot of tears and even blood. Yes, I'm not afraid to admit it in the ring. That is...
In what way?
Well,
I'm sorry.
When I train or it's sparring, and there were moments when after a punch your nose has a blood stream, there were normal things that might happen in our gym.
Tell me, Maryna, was it all worthwhile, and what did you achieve? What did you have in your sights?
I didn't know it then, and to be honest, I often doubted it. But now, when I know who am I see that yes, it was worth it. Because now, today, I am a boxing sports master. I am European Championship finalist. I am 5-time champion of Ukraine and a champion of international tournaments. I don't know even how many, but there are many for sure.
On this, I want to raise your hand.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
great. I'm very proud for you, really.
The first steps of a baby, the following steps in kindergarten, at school or adulthood, homeschooling, courses, training, clubs. Life is constantly pushing you to develop and act. Whether you are 7 or 70 years old, at your first year in university or in front of an important deal, you can win. Act. Do everything you can to make your dream come true. The power of thought, the power of the body, the power of the spirit, you have it all. The power of thought, the power of the body, the power of the spirit, you have it all. Get rid of everything superfluous and unnecessary. Trust yourself, your dream, and you will become like the ones whose biographies inspired you. Believe. That's a great power. Add efforts to that, and your talents will be recognized in result.
There are kind of contrasts in career of every athlete. What would you call your biggest and highest rise and the hardest fall?
There is probably no single athlete who had no fails, but victories and victories alone. That never happens. Maybe only in fairy tales or movies, but fails are the reality of life, and I assure you that often falls are more necessary than the rise times, because as you know, when we win, we can catch the star or put a crown on ourselves and start looking at other people down as we are above them. And we can think that we are so great, but in fact, I have to admit that fails in my life were providing me more impetus forward than winning, because when I would lose, I went home and cried at first. Of course, I would be upset, but returning to the gym after that, I felt it had hardened me to the point I would start training twice more.
And one more important question. What role has God and faith played in your life? Share it with us.
If I wouldn't have faith in God and faith in myself, I probably wouldn't have any of these victories, because that's what helped me to keep on fighting day by day, and the faith helped me in this, both faith in God and faith in what I was doing. The faith in God has also changed my life and the life of my family. Today, I am not the only champion, but is my sister. My family is doing well for both of my parents. My dad doesn't drink anymore, and my mom doesn't drink or smoke too. We don't have any more scandals at home. My family, how to say it, my parents are the kindest people in the whole world, because I don't know how to help you understand. Today my friend from the national team lives in our house. They took her in because she also had some problems in her family. She's actually from Chernihiv. And my dad calls her daughter. It's so nice. They now have such kind hearts, and I understand that without God, it would not be even possible. So the love of God has changed my life and the life of my family.
One quite relevant topic, the difficult time of this war, the beginning of the war. How did the war affect your professional career, and what was the hardest part of this time?
We were in shock. Around the day 4, my sister and I made up our minds, took just a few things, pants, t-shirts, a sweater, and that was it, and a pair of sneakers. And my sister and I decided to go to Prague, to our friends. During the first month in Prague, we understood we have to survive, because just at that time, the salaries of athletes were cut. We didn't have lots of money, and I'm not afraid to say, but I, as the number 1, was receiving 6,000, 9,000 hryvnias.
Is this like a national team
member?
member
Yes, the salary of a team member. So the salaries were very small, and if that would still be so-so for Ukraine, but first of all, the prices rose very much during the war, and
especially
in Europe is out of range. So I understood we needed to look for some kind of part-time work or to work somewhere. For the first month, we were doing some cleanings, cleaned kitchens, I don't know, don't remember, toilets, whatever we had to do to get some money, we did everything. And I remember the first day when we went to some bar with my sister, her friend, and our two other friends, girls who also left Ukraine. There are 5 of us, and each one of us was someone before. And now we are standing and thinking, that's so cool. The boxing sports masters are in Prague.
The Ukrainian
Ukrainian
national
national team is washing the kitchen somewhere in some bar at Prague. That's how much the life can change in one day. And to be honest, we were shocked, but we had to survive.
What motivated you and your sister not to give up at that moment?
Oh, we caught fire with our dream. From the very beginning, when we started boxing, we always had a dream to have our own gym. So we started posting videos on social media about our trainings, and people started responding, wow, Ukrainians in Prague, do you train yourself only or do you train others? And we went like, so we started training on the street.
On the street?
Yes,
Without
it was
a
in the
gym?
park, on some playgrounds. At first, it was simply on the street, and I remember we went to 3 locations doing whole day from morning till evening and went to work. And it was kind of advertisement for our future gym, because we knew that fall and winter will come and we need to have some kind of premises. So every month, as I remember, we would save 25% of our income for our future gym. There were 3 of us, me, my sister, and another girl from the national team. The 3 of us were training that way, and we always divided the profit by 4, 25% to each, and we saved 25% for the renting of the future gym. And with God's help, we collected the full amount, and we're opening our dream hall, which is called the Battleground, which means battlefields. Our slogan is, life is not just a playground, it's a battlefield. This is so relevant for every Ukrainian because each of us is on the battlefield today. And while our soldiers were defending Ukraine, we were in Europe and opened this gym. We basically were training Ukrainians only. 95% of our staff were Ukrainians, and we were training people who had to leave for the same reason we did. Each of them had broken fates and hearts, each of them was going through something. So when we trained them, we didn't just train, they got attracted by us, becoming connected with them. We talked with them and were supporting each other.
Spiritually.
Yes, both mentally and spiritually. Through training, I can help people more than when I train myself. I mean, when I train myself, all the things, all the medals, all the call-ups go only to me. And sooner or later, those medals, will hang in my room, and no one else will see them. What I mean, do you remember any athletes? I mean, if you remember any Olympic champions from the past years. Somebody?
You mean they will be remembered?
Yes, that's what I mean. They're not remembered. They're getting forgotten. I don't know, to write my own story and to live with the goal of being remembered. But I live with the fact that I can help someone, like my coach once helped me, that is to break out of the difficult life I had and become someone. I want likewise to continue this, and I like to see many children who come to train with their lives broken or from dysfunctional families, who also have no money. We have many Ukrainians who train for free, especially teenagers, who instead of, this is just my opinion, instead of going to clubs, hookahs and things like, they would rather come to our gym and spend these hours with us. I hope that they will become a cool generation in the future who will continue our Ukrainian lineage.
The war in Ukraine has raised many questions for every one of us. Who we are, where are we heading to, what are we ready to sacrifice for our goal, how will the future generations evaluate us if we give up? So we are not giving up. Regardless of our professions, we will do everything for Ukraine to become stronger and better. Everyone has to do their part. The world would never watch a movie if someone hadn't invented the camera, and space would still remain as some stars beyond the horizon if the best minds wouldn't create a spacecraft. Make your choice to achieve the things that will glorify God, glorify Ukraine and your family. Make this choice daily, and sooner or later you will be recorded in history not just as a citizen, but as the one who did the impossible.
Maryna, and now I would like to introduce our viewers another co-founder of our The Champions Way sports movement.
Girls, hi, how are you?
Hi.
Alisa Dubrova is the Polish Super League table tennis player, responsible for sports strategy in the Eurasian region and sports program teacher of the Christian Camps Association of Ukraine.
You know, we've prepared a little experiment for you. I know that when you're in a competition, you always have a doping test, right? But
Yes.
now you're going to take a slightly different test. We have prepared some spiritual vitamins for you. These are Bible verses, and now your task is to choose any verse from the Bible, read it, and tell us how you understand what it says, okay? This is a very interesting verse. How do you understand it?
But love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for He Himself is kind to ungrateful and evil men.
Listen, that's a very great example you gave.
Oh, it talks about enemies. That despite the fact some people do you evil, you should still be grateful and, let's say, not stoop to their level and not return them the same. There's another verse I want to recommend, that if you do good, even to people who do you evil, they will become burning coals on their heads. By the way, when I'm looking at the fire here and I understand how relevant this is, that will make people shocked to see, while they do something bad to you, and despite the fact that they are doing you evil, you reply them with good.
A very cool example. And you know, I feel this is probably exactly what God would like to convey. And to say to our audience right now, maybe this verse was just for you. You know, I want to ask you, if you have something in your heart that you would like to tell the whole country or even the whole world. Imagine the whole country or the whole world is looking at you right now. What would you say from your heart that would also be motivating?
I guess I'll speak not just as a person to a person, but as a champion to champions. Whatever you do in your life, you have to become a real pro at it. Everyone has different problems at every moment, but the same question is for everyone. What have I done? What am I doing? Am I really doing what I want to do? And have I used all the chances to their fullest? Even if there are miracles in life, they happen only when a person constantly fights and struggles for their dreams. Respect yourself, but don't waste your life. Be purposeful. If you are doing something you don't want to do, look for a way to reach your life's purpose. As it was said in the Rocky movie, it doesn't matter how you hit, but how you withtake the punch. Be stubborn, Take risks, break stereotypes, be the flame and not the ash, be the rock and not a dust. Don't be a spectator, but a participant in the competition called life. Do not whine and do not wait for help. Even doctors do not always save lives. And when you are wrong, if your life has failed, rise up with faith in yourself, with faith in God. It is possible, and it will surely happen. Form such values and habits that will make you a fate's favorite. Don't wait for the gong or the whistle blow to start. Act now. It is possible to postpone a fight or a match in sports, but life is a constant game with only one round, and it starts and ends only once. Push yourself and your skills daily. Remember that the largest concentration of talents is at the cemetery, where huge, unrealized potentials rot under a small mound of earth. Don't bury yourself while alive. Fight and be a fighter for your future, for your freedom, for your dream, for your right to be and become the best of the best, and not turn into a gray mass. Your first step can determine your entire life ahead. Become a winner and never stop believing. There is God, there are you, and that is more than enough.
Friends, it was our first The Champions Way program, and thank you for staying with us till the end.
We invite you to continue learning about the female athletes' hearts in our exciting The Champions Way journey.
So subscribe, like, tell your friends, and
see you
soon!